Hello everyone, I'm Michael Vincent. Today, I'll be sharing a real-life serial murder case with you. The story takes place in Los Angeles, California, USA. Located in the southwestern part of California, Los Angeles is the second largest city in the United States and the largest city on the West Coast. It's often referred to as the City of Angels. Between 1977 and 1979, the killer, Rodney, murdered at least 100 young women. With an IQ of 160, Rodney's intelligence was tragically misused. Known as one of the most prolific serial killers in American history, Rodney was sentenced to death twice, only to have the sentences overturned both times. After a prolonged 30-year legal battle, DNA technology finally led to Rodney's conviction in 2010. But why was Rodney so brutal, and why was he specifically targeting women? Let's travel back to 1943 to uncover the dark life of this criminal. Rodney James Alcala was born on August 23, 1943, in San Antonio, USA. He had two older sisters. When Rodney was 8, his family moved to Mexico with his father. 3 years later, his father abandoned the family, forcing his mother to return with the 3 children to the suburbs of Los Angeles. In 1961, at the age of 17, Rodney joined the U.S. Army, working in a clerical role. His IQ test score of 164 exceeded the average range of 90 to 109, marking him as a genius. However, in 1964, at 21, Rodney was diagnosed with a mental disorder and later with antisocial personality disorder by an Army psychiatrist, leading to his discharge. After leaving the military, he enrolled in the UCLA School of Fine Arts. In 1968, Rodney graduated from art school and committed his first known crime that same year. A Los Angeles driver witnessed Rodney luring an 8-year-old girl named Tali Shapiro to his apartment and called the police. When officers arrived, they found Shapiro barely alive, brutally beaten with a steel bar, and sexually assaulted. Rodney had already fled, and he was subsequently added to the FBI's most wanted list. He escaped to New York, assumed the alias John Berger, and enrolled in the NYU Film School, studying under French director Roman Polanski. In 1971, using the fake name John Berger, Rodney secured a job as a counselor at a children's art camp in New Hampshire, teaching photography. However, 2 girls at the camp recognized him as a wanted criminal, leading to his arrest. He was extradited back to California, but when prosecutors prepared to charge him, a complication arose. Shapiro and her family had moved to Mexico, and her parents refused to let her testify to protect her privacy. As a result, Rodney was convicted only of assault and a lesser charge of child molestation. After serving 34 months in prison, he was paroled and released back into society. Less than 2 months after his release, Rodney lured a 13-year-old girl to a cliff, forced her to consume drugs, and sexually assaulted her. He was sentenced to 2 years in prison for violating parole and selling obscene materials to minors before being paroled again. In 1977, despite his criminal record, Rodney used his intelligence and charm to land a job as a typesetter at the Los Angeles Times. During this time, he leveraged his knowledge of art and film to pose as a professional photographer, gaining some local fame. He deceived hundreds of women into posing for his so-called portfolio, and to this day, the identities of most of these women remain unknown. Authorities suspect that some of them may have been murdered. In September 1978, after committing multiple murders, Rodney appeared on the popular dating show, The Dating Game. The show failed to conduct a background check, and the host introduced him as a talented photographer who enjoyed skydiving and motorcycle riding. Rodney's charm and wit allowed him to portray himself as a desirable bachelor, winning the show and earning a date with a female contestant. However, she later refused to pursue a relationship with him due to his unsettling behavior. On June 20th, 1979, 12-year-old Robin Samso went missing while riding her bike to a ballet class in Huntington Beach, California. 12 days later, her body was discovered in the Angeles National Forest. Due to the heat, the body had decomposed, making it impossible to determine if she had been sexually assaulted. Witness descriptions led to a composite sketch, and investigators found earrings in a storage locker rented by Rodney, one of which belonged to Samso. Rodney was arrested and charged with her murder. In 1980, Rodney was tried for Samso's murder in Orange County Superior Court. The court referenced the Shapiro case and sentenced him to death, but the California Supreme Court overturned the verdict, citing that the jury had been overly influenced by details of Rodney's prior crimes. In 1986, a second trial again resulted in a death sentence, but 4 years later, this too was overturned. During this time, Rodney wrote a book titled You the Jury, in which he claimed innocence and demanded compensation for his imprisonment. By 2003, DNA technology had advanced significantly, and investigators matched Rodney's DNA to evidence from the Shapiro and Samso cases, as well as 4 other murders. These included the 1977 killing of 18-year-old Jill Barcombe, the 1977 murder of 27-year-old nurse Georgia Wickstead, the 1978 slaying of 32-year-old legal secretary Charlotte Lamb, and the 1979 murder of 21-year-old Jill Parenteau. In each case, the victims were sexually assaulted and brutally killed. In February 2010, at the age of 67, Rodney was tried for 5 counts of murder. He chose to represent himself, delivering a bizarre 5-hour monologue in court. Despite his efforts, the DNA evidence was irrefutable. Tali Shapiro, now an adult, bravely testified against him. Rodney ultimately requested a life sentence instead of the death penalty, but the judge sentenced him to death. To this day, Rodney continues to appeal his sentence. In 2010, the NYPD released 215 photos taken by Rodney in hopes of identifying additional victims. The photos depicted women ranging from their teens to 30s, spanning multiple states. Many families recognized their missing loved ones in the images. Over 900 additional photos remain unpublished due to privacy concerns. The true number of Rodney's victims may never be known. Rodney, once seen as a charming and talented individual, exploited people's admiration to commit heinous crimes. Young women, full of hope and dreams, believed they were embarking on romantic encounters, only to meet tragic ends. In a world increasingly focused on appearances, Rodney's story serves as a grim reminder that true evil often hides behind a facade of charm. That's all for today. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like, share, and subscribe. Your support means the world to me. I'm Michael Vincent, and I'll see you in the next video.